Yeah. Welcome back. Thanks so much. This is our first show of the year, 726 in Mountain Home, and we are talking with Mayor David Osmon about some of the things that have been happening with the city and how city government works. And I guess it's fascinating to you. It's an exciting job for you, I'm sure.
It is, and it's actually more complicated than I thought it was before I became mayor, and I think it's even more complicated now that I've become mayor.
Is that because there's a lot of restrictions on you, the way you can do your job?
There's a lot of sources of money, and sometimes those sources has restrictions on what you can do with them. For instance, all of the water department revenues are restricted to water department use. You can't
put that over in somewhere where you need it somewhere else.
That's right. You can't use it for fire and police. It's got to stay with the water department. And then there's a significant amount of that money that has to be set aside to guarantee the repayment of bonds.
Yeah.
So that's restricted money, and you can't spend it for anything other than the bonds for which they were reserved.
Are those rules set up by the state, or is it each individual city?
No, they're primarily by the state.
By the state. Okay.
But we've got a couple of rules in the city. For instance, I believe it was in '88, but I'm not sure. It was in maybe '86. The people of Mountain Home voted in a 1% sales tax. And with that 1% sales tax, they voted to give the street department 1/2 of all of the city's sales tax revenues. So the city gets roughly $4.4 million a year off of that 1% city sales tax. Not the county. Now, we get some money from the county, but just off the city. And half of that money, about $2.2 million, is restricted to the street department. So it has to go there. Then out of the other half that the general fund keeps, it has to give the water department, by vote of the people, $350,000. So you can see, if we kept $2.2 million and then we give $350,000 away, we end up with $1.85 million.
Well, has all that been adequate then, or does since 1986 does some of that need to be adjusted?
It probably needs to be adjusted, but it's very difficult to adjust because it requires a public referendum.
Okay, so you'd have to rescind one law and then pass another one.
You'd have to have a public vote on changing those percentages in whatever way that people thought. There was a day that the water department was broke. I mean, it was in bad shape. Now, water department is one of our best, from a financial standpoint, one of the best departments that we have.
Because the rules have changed to help support that department.
Yes. Okay. And also, but I think the biggest thing that's made that department healthier is that we have been getting a rate study every year. And we adjust the rates every year to reflect the cost of producing that water and handling the sewer, taking care of the sewer. So before, we would just have a rate, and we would have this year, we'd have the same rate next year, and the same rate the next year, and the same rate the next year. In the meantime, employee salaries go up. Cost of a truck goes up. The cost of pipe that you put in the ground goes up. And so everything is going up except the rate. And so finally, we got wise to that. I wasn't mayor when this happened, but they got wise to that and started doing a rate study and adjusting it. And it was sort of some significant adjustments for a while. Now, in the last 2 years, residentially, we have had no adjustments. Commercially, the water that we sell to Lakeview Midway and the water we sell to Northeast Water Authority, and if we sell water to Gassville or Cotter, we don't sell them very much. Then we've got a commercial wholesale rate for that. It went up 1% or 1 cent per 1,000 gallons. I can't remember now which that was.
Well, what are some of your big successes in 2011? You said 2011 has been quite a year, so define quite a year.
Well, it's been a successful year in many ways, in actuality, with the amount of money that we had to work with, and our money was not down very much. I mean, our income has been fairly level. It's our expenses that have gone up, because Mountain Home has a wonderful step grade level for its employees. And they automatically get increases, and then we also have an automatic longevity pay. If they've been, as soon as they go to work for the city the second year, they get a 0.5% bonus for the 1 year that they have served. Now, from 1 to 5, that's 0.5%. From 5 to 10, it's 1%. From 10 to 15, it's 1.5%, and anything above 15, it is 2%. That's automatic unless the council stops it. It's so we have that longevity play. Plus, we have been giving a 3% COLA every year that I have been mayor, and I believe we've had a 3% COLA every year for the last 10 years. Well, that 3% cost of living adjustment goes on to their base pay, so that excuse me, any percent, like off of your longevity, any percent that comes off of their base pay, it keeps increasing that longevity pay every year, that bonus that they get. So that all reflects itself in greater cost. And of course, police cars cost more every year, a little more every year, and asphalt costs a little more every year. In fact, it costs quite a bit more with the oil prices going up.
Do you see a time when you're going to have to readjust the budget?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. We spent in 2011, we spent approximately $300,000 more than we took in. Now, we carried over a surplus of $1.11 million, so that we had room to absorb that $300,000 cost.
That'll catch up with you, though.
It'll catch up with you if you keep doing it every year. Ultimately, you got to change something.
Yeah, I think that's what we're having issues with the national government.
And the county's having the same problem, and everybody else is having the same problem. So our revenues have not gone down that much, but they've gone down some, but our expenses have gone up. And so that's what's the crunch, and at some point I think we'll have to get serious about adjusting that unless the economy changes around, and it might.
I think it's time for it, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm seeing. I went back and looked at our building permits. There was an article, in the Baxter Bulletin the last day or two. But in 2011, we had a total of $7,190,432 of building permits issued. Now, that did not include one new resident. There's not one new resident in 2011 built in the city limits of Mountain Home.
Oh, wow.
And that's compared to in years past, it's up, right?
Yeah. Well, just going through this year, the third and fourth quarters were up over the first and second. So that I think is a good sign, and that also is in keeping with the projections on the national trend and the state trend. So
we're right in there. Well, that's a good thing.
So it's getting better. Now, for things that we accomplished, in 2011, one of our biggest projects was the do-it-yourself remodeling of the inside of the old library. If you've not seen that, you need to go see it. They'll be happy to give you a tour through it. The improvement inside that building would cost about $350,000 to $400,000 if it was contracted out. We actually spent $83,000 on it. And less than 1,000 of that was labor.
So you did that with volunteer labor?
We did that with volunteer. We did it with inmates out of the county jail primarily. But we had a lot of other volunteers. And the community gave us $53,000. I think I'm right on that figure. And the city council threw another $30,000 on top of that, so that we spent $83,000.
So, but that's a new police facility, right? The old library.
That's correct.
So the offices that were on the corner over there, they've all been moved over?
They're empty. Trying to sell those. If anybody is interested in that building, we are interested in talking with them.
Okay.
We're hoping that the county will buy them because it's connected with the 911 center, and that's really where it needs to go, is to the county.
Okay.
But the county's having some of the same problems we're having, So
maybe they can give you an IOU.
They might do that. You think that we should take an IOU from Judge Bodenhammer?
I think they're good for it.
That was one of the things we did from the police side of it. From the street side, we had two large projects in 2011. We had the McClure Green, I don't know, whatever the other street was there, McClure Glenbrier project that went all the way from Highway 5 south to the bypass. Curbs and gutters and that type of thing. Wow. We spent on that project $774,854 out of the street department. Street department gets about $4.4 million a year. Of that, about 2.2 comes from the sales tax revenue, and about 2.2 comes from state turnbacks. So we did the South Main Street. If you haven't driven South Main Street from 10th Street down to the fairgrounds, you need to do that. The street's pretty well finished. We're still doing some cleanup work there, and we spent on that and around the Guy Berry School. Oh, that looks tremendously better. And the parking lots around the Guy Berry School, the parking areas, was improved in a co-op deal with the school. They paid for the materials, we did the labor on it. You know, that worked out real well, I think, for the city and for the school. We spent on that project $451,142. Those are the two biggest projects, street projects we did in 2011. Now, 2012, excuse me, we're going to finish South Main. It's just about finished. We're going to finish Glenbrier, and we're going to improve 7th Street from about the Hickory Street, about Hickory Street. I think it'll be a little further west, down to the new police station.
Okay.
That'll be curbed and guttered, and it will only be 2 lanes. It won't be 3 lanes.
Yeah, but so, there's already some work going on there.
Well,
I've
it's
noticed,
the water.
I cut through there a lot.
One of the good things that have happened in the last few years is that every time we pick out a street that we're going to rework, we tell the water department, and they go in and make a study. And if they need to go in there and replace any pipes that are under that street, we back off and let them get in there and do that, so that we don't have to go in and cut those new streets up. And so that's what's been going on down there right now. We've been putting in new water lines and new sewer lines down there.
And this project's going to go on through this coming year here?
It should be finished in 2012. It's only 3 blocks, so it won't take as long to do it as it did South Main and the McClure project, you know.
Well, a lot of maintenance going on.
Yes.
A lot of improvements, and you have to do that. I mean, water pipes, they get old and they have to be replaced.
Yeah. Well, I think we have some of the best streets in a small town that I have ever been around very much, and that reflects 2 things. Number one, we've got money to do that, and number 2, we got a department head and a crew that are very capable of utilizing that money efficiently, and when we do. And I think I say the same thing about the water department and lines. Our water that we are losing out of our distribution system, there's always lines that are breaking and separating, and you got leaks, and you lose about 10% of the water that you put into your lines. When the difference between what you actually you get paid for going through your meters, and what you've made and sent down the line is 10-15%. That loss. If you can control that loss, you operate a lot more efficiently. And I think since the water department has been paying a lot of attention to reworking these old lines, some of which are 50 years old, the water that we have lost has really diminished.
That's good. Keep those lines from dripping.
Yeah. And also we did a little revamping of City Hall in 2011. That building has its same configuration as it was when it was built in 1974. 1974. It has not been expanded. It has not been added on to. It's not nothing, and it still had the concrete block walls throughout. And we went in there and sheetrocked all the walls and put down the ceramic tile on the floors and repainted and put wainscot on the wall in the council room, and chair rail up, and it really looks spiffy now compared to what it did, and we did that for the council gave us $12,500, and that's what it cost us to do that. And again, we used inmates from the county jail. I tell you, inmates from the county jail has as far as the remodeling of those 2 buildings, the old library building and the city hall, they should be given tremendous amount of credits. And I can't say all of the names because I really shouldn't say the names, but there were so many of them because they came and went. I would say a total of 20 or 25 inmates worked on those 2 projects, and almost without an exception, they were exceptional. They were talented, hard workers, efficient.
And they were probably very proud to get out from the jail cell to be doing something constructive.
I got notes from people that were not coming to work. Can I come work? I mean, they wanted to get out because we fed them good every day.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being here, and I'd ask an open invitation. Maybe you come back middle of the year sometime, or if not every month or whatever, and let's talk more about city.
Sure.
And see where we're going. I'm sure that our viewers at home are very interested in what's going on with what you and all the other staff members are doing there at City Hall.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that very much, and I'd be happy to come back.
Well, it looks like y'all are doing a good job. At least stand right on top of it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, Gloria
Gushew.
Boy, I could say that in my mind, but never when I get it out on my tongue.
Capital Rock Museum Foundation.
She's coming up. Stay with us.